Kratos versus Asura.
I personally like the connection between these two characters. Both are demigods, both are too angry to die, and both really love to punch a god in their face. So in a fight to the death, who would win? I'll be splitting this video into two parts. One where we'll only use the game, and the other where we'll take the lore into account. I'll be using 5 key factors to determine the outcome of this fight. That'll be strength, speed, durability, hacks, and experience. Let's start with game feats. First, strength. In Asura's Wrath, there's this character named Wyzen, and during the fight, Wyzen grew to the size of a planet, then proceeds to poke Asura with his giant finger. But Asura catches it, then follows up with a barrage of punches. Could Kratos match up to this feat of strength? Let's take a look. There were 2 situations where Kratos shows off his strength feat. First one came from the 3rd installment of God of War, where this huge and butt-naked man tries to clap him flat. But Kratos wasn't into that and catches it, then proceeds to do an overhead press. Second was when he decided it's a good idea to flip Tyr's temple. Both showed us some incredible feats of strength, but unfortunately, Kratos fell short, making Asura take strength. Next, speed. We've seen Asura fly through space covering a great distance in just seconds. You can make an argument that he is traveling faster than the speed of light. As for Kratos, he defeated this guy Hermes, who can run through places in a short amount of time, and took his sneakers. The winner is pretty obvious here. Asura takes speed. Next, durability. There was this character named Chakravartin who can fire a beam so strong that it was destroying planets like he was Vegeta. But Asura tanked the beam to protect Earth, then looks back at us like he was like, "Watch me beat his ass." Kratos doesn't have that much durability feats that we see in games. The best one we see was when he took hits from Thor in the head with full force, but Kratos still left standing. Asura takes durability. Now for hacks. Asura has lots of forms to choose from. There's his base form. Then there's his 6-arms form, which helped him increase his strength. Base mantra and 6-armed mantra, with the reactor core, which just amplifies his usage of mantra. Berserker and Wrath form, which makes Asura even more powerful, but at the cost of him losing control. And the Destructor form, which is probably his strongest form. Kratos has countless weapons he used throughout God-killing journey. Too much, in fact, that we'd be here all day if we break down each and every one of them. So I'll give Kratos the hacks. And finally, experience. Asura has been alive for 12,000 years, but Kratos only lived for 100 to 1,000, give or take. However, Asura spent his time sleeping in Naraka, which is basically hell in his universe. So I think it's safe to assume that they are equal in experience. Looks like Asura stomps Kratos hard in game feats alone. But let's see if Asura holds the crown for long. Now let's take lore into account. First, strength. Asura doesn't have much that has changed, but for Kratos, he beat his half-brother Hercules, who could match up, and outmuscled the man. Hercules, who he stated, did his famous 12 labors, and during one of his labors he took the place of Atlas for a while, and held up the world. According to Cory Balrog, every worlds are like pocket dimensions that separates their mythology. So basically, Hercules only lifted up Greece. Asura still takes strength. Now for speed, both of their speed feats greatly increase in lore. According to Asura's Wrath lore, Naraka contains these pillars that are stated to be infinite in size. And Asura climbs up one of the pillars thousands of years later, which doesn't sound so great, but the fact that Asura crossed infinity in a finite amount of time suggests that he must have ran infinitely fast. As for Kratos, Hermes guides the dead to the underworld and could run from Olympus to Hades in just under a day, and Hades has started to be infinite in size too. Then Kratos took his shoes, taking his speed. Durability. According to the lore, Chakravartin could absorb galaxies like it was just Tuesday. With that in mind, Asura just shrugged of an attack that could wipe out galaxies. But for Kratos, boy does he get wanked. So the fat god Thor has beef with the giant serpent, where when they fight, It was said that their fight could be felt throughout 9 realms and splinters the world tree. The tree that's so large that it extends through space and time. Kratos did die on their first fight, but later on in the game, we see Kratos taking hits from Mjolnir in the head, with Thor has an intent to kill or bloodlusted. So durability goes to Kratos. Hacks doesn't change anything at all. Kratos still takes hacks. Lastly, experience. Things really gets into Kratos' favor, especially with the Valhalla DLC, where Tyr trains the mind and body of Kratos. And yes, Asura can adapt to Kratos, but Tyr has been seen using different weapons and magics that Kratos has never seen before, even with his Norse journey, but still managed to overwhelm Tyr. So Kratos can adapt just as much as Asura. So in the end, I will give experience to Kratos due to his training. Kratos wins when it comes to lore. So what's my final thoughts all in all? It really depends how much lore you want to take into account. And seeing as this fight is happening in Death Battle, I think my statement would still matter. Games and lore change the outcome of the fight. And while we're here, I'd like to address some takes that I find quite hilarious. First take, Asura beats Chakravartin, who created the universe. There aren't really any instances where we see him, nor are there any statements that applied that he truly is the creator. The best I could find was his form is named the Creator. But even if Chakravartin did in fact create the universe, Uranus did the same as we saw in the Primordial War and Ascension. Even his son, Gyges, stated that Uranus created the universe. Then Uranus was castrated by his son Kronos. Then Kratos scales above Kronos. And for Kratos, I see people saying, he's outer-versal. And all I can say to that is, also, there's this thing where Hermes could dodge Helios's light. That even Steve Caterson, the game designer for the God of War games, confirmed it in a tweet. But he isn't the lead director, so I'm taking his words with a grain of salt. Hermes is already fast even without the light of Helios feat. And lastly, Atlas lifting the universe feat. I'm not talking real world into account, because if we use that, then we should use Buddhism and Hinduism for Asura. Then Asura should be able to scale up to the Buddha or Lord Shiva, which is just plain wrong. So no real world mythology, only God of War mythos and Asura's Wrath mythos. So that's all my take. You're probably angry right now because the overrated fodder has some scary win cons. But like I said, it really depends how much of the lore Death Battle we'll touch on. And with that, I'm done. Now get out of here.